Hey guys, Hillside Gardener back with you. So, believe it or not, it was about 60 degrees this morning, and it's steadily been dropping. We're supposed to get snow flurries, maybe 2 inches of snow overnight. So I figured I need to make this video while I still had the chance. Now, last year I made a video on adding wood ashes to your compost pile, and I kind of wanted to make a follow-up video this year to kind of clarify some things and just explain what I'm actually meaning by that. So what you see here in front of you. There's a giant brush pile. We had a couple dead trees. We chopped them up, and they sat all spring and summer long. We ended up burning them in the fall. And as you can see right here, after the giant pile of burned wood and everything was there, I let it sit in rain. It got rained on for like probably 2 months. I didn't do anything with it, so it's going to leach out a lot of the bad things that people talk about when they talked about adding wood ashes to your compost, your garden just in general. But I mean, if you look right here, these big chunks right here, and this is almost like biochar, okay? And if you see right here, if you watch any documentaries about how, I guess the terra preta is what they called it, like the dark earth or the black earth or something like that in the Amazon rainforest, is where kind of the idea of biochar kind of existed. And they would get great big piles of wood and they'd burn them, and then at the end they would cover them in palm fronds or just leaves, and then cover that with sand or dirt and basically let the wood smolder and just cook on itself, which will leave you with this really awesome stuff. So people ask for, how do I build my soil? This is one of the main ways I do it. Okay, so after it sat and got rained on for about 2 months or so, while I was out of town anyway, so it was just nature taking its course, you're left with this really awesome stuff. Now, I mean, you can see there's the sand in here, and there's like the biochar pieces, and what that does is, if you look at the molecular level of this, like under a microscope, there are millions upon millions of pores and holes and everything inside of this. And what happens when you mix this in with your compost, your garden soil, it gets inside of there. These are avenues for microorganisms to live. It bonds with your compost, and it just kind of helps everything just fertilize everything and make it just that much better. So, what I would do is just an example here. I'll get to my other point about the biochar and sand mixture over here. But, this is just a mixed bag of maple leaves, oak leaves, pine needles, some ornamental trees that are in the neighbor's yard, some sweet gum leaves. So what I do all my flower beds and my gardens, I just rake everything all up, leave it on nice and thick, and I'm just not going to touch this at all. Okay, and what I might do is I'll get this terra preta mix, and I'll just kind of put it on top just like that. I don't turn it in. I'm not mixing it in. I'm not flipping the compost pile over, anything like that. I'm just going to let the rain, the snow, everything just wash it out, and it's going to work itself down into the soil. Now, if you kind of look right here, soil already is pretty black. It's been built up for years and years and years. But I mean, this is no dig soil. I mean, this was solid rock clay when I started this garden. But with the addition of wood chips, there's some old mulch right here. You can build your soil up into really awesome stuff like this. I don't use any other fertilizers. Just kind of pile up the leaves, put some ashes on top, add some horse manure if you want on top of this as well, and don't mix it in. Just let it sit all winter long. That's the best time to do it, in my opinion, because if you want to do this right before in the spring, right when you're going to start planting, I'll kind of take you over here on a little tour. So I mean, this is another front flower bed here. We had my giant dahlias and everything, and you can see it's the same setup what I'm doing here as well. It's just mixed leaves and pine needles and everything like that. Just kind of nice thick layer, which some of it got blown away in this big windstorm we have. So I do need to kind of a little bit more back here in the corner, where up against the house, where some leaves kind of got blown away, and you see the exposed mulch and soil back there, which you don't want. The best thing you should do is always try to keep your soil covered at all times, especially in winter time, because that really benefits keeping the microorganisms a little bit more insulated and warm. You're going to provide tons and tons of organic matter for the worms and everything else just to work on all winter long, which is going to increase your fertility. And then come spring, you can just plant right into it. You don't need to turn it over. You don't need to dig, anything like that. So I'm going to take you over to where I grew some my awesome giant 6-foot tall peppers this year, and kind of show you how I put that pepper bed to rest. So hold on. All right, so now I'm back over here where I grew my awesome peppers in this whole stretch here. Kind of work it all the way back down the fence line. If you saw my earlier videos in the summer, it's where all these guys were growing, and they were 6 feet tall. If you don't believe me, watch the videos. Wouldn't make that kind of stuff up. So, like I said, this is no dig as well, and you can tell this where I chopped up the peppers. There's some of the stems right here. some more of the stems. There's an old, nasty ghost pepper. It's still not really broken down. It's crazy. But yeah, so you got all these little pieces like that. They're down there. What I'm trying to find, and I don't know exactly where I'm looking for. If I can find one for you. Right here. Here we go. Bear with me. All right. So there you go. See right here? This is where my peppers is growing. You know, it's one of these peppers. It was 6 feet tall. Oh, check it out. Right there. If you can see that. Little tiny baby worm. See? Just what I was saying. All this organic matter. Oh, look, another worm right there. So this is what it's all about. Another worm right there. So I can't plan this, guys. It's just how it is. That's how many worms and how much beneficial insects and nutrients are in this soil. So like I said, I'm not going to dig this up in the spring. I'm leaving this right here. Keep this nice and covered. And like you saw the mixture here, some moss and grass and different kinds of leaves. Keep it on nice and thick. People are going to ask me, I don't know, probably, I don't know, about a fist or about 4 fingers deep. Oh, it's at 3.5, 4 inches. I don't know. Add more, add less, whatever. Just kind of play with it. I would always err on the side of more because you can always take away, but you can't add after the fact and make up for lost time. Here's another pepper stem from this season. And by the time spring comes around, most likely that root system is going to be just completely broken down. And if you really, really, really are concerned with it, you can probably just take this and it'll break off right at the soil level because everything else underneath is going to rot. If you really must, you know, aesthetically or something is giving you anxiety or whatever. But, you know, just while I got you here, check it out. See these onions? I completely forgot about these onions in the spring. They grew and then they died and now they're coming back. So I believe if I let them grow, they're going to flower in the spring. That's what they do, is onions are biennials by trade anyways. So, you know, it's kind of cool. Just kind of notice that. But walking down here, I'll show you one more couple things I'm doing. But I've shown a couple videos about cold stratification. These old coffee cans here have a bunch of tree seeds and things in them. So they're out here buried in the, you know, little bed here. And they're going to sit all winter long, get that cold stratification period. And then in the spring, hopefully to let nature take its course. Yep. And right here, I showed you those rare seeds I've collected around the neighborhood. The Dawn redwood and all these kind of Osage orange, all these kind of things. There you go. Same difference. It's in these little trays. I put them down here. They're covered up. So if you don't have a spare fridge and you need to cold stratify some trees or plants or whatever, go ahead and try it that way. So that's just an example. I'm going to take you to the backyard real quick, show you what I'm doing to the raised beds, and I'll wrap this video up. Hey, so sorry guys, I lied to you. I will get to the raised beds here in a second. Now, if you've ever heard anybody tell you that you don't want to put hay onto your garden as a mulch, this is why. Look at this. This has been sitting out here. This is starting to sprout grass. Okay, all the weeds and grass seeds and everything that's in this hay bale, that's you put that directly on your garden, you're going to start getting all these weeds are going to start growing, or grass or whatever it might be. So what I do is I deliberately do this. I'll let this thing turn, look, it's like a chia pet. It's gonna have grass growing all over it. And then I'm gonna take this right here, I'm gonna flip it onto the bottom. So it's gonna naturally just gonna kill it off because it's gonna be on the ground. I'm not getting sunlight. It's gonna be moisture down there and everything. And then I'll let the top start growing. Then I might flip it onto the side. I'll rotate this through a couple times. And by the time spring comes around, this is gonna be broken down. You won't even be able to recognize it. It's gonna be black, it's gonna be dark. And then I use that as a mulch for, you know, gardening purposes in general, because by then, you know, most of the grass seeds or weed seeds have already germinated and you've been able to kill them off. So if you have the spare room, just let your hay bales just do their thing. Let Mother Nature get them wet, let them sprout, and just keep rotating it. You know, and once it gets a little bit farther along, starts breaking down, I will remove the I removed this twine here, and I'll start breaking it down eventually. But that's more towards the earlier parts of spring when I get to that project. So now I will take you to the backyard and show you the raised beds like I promised. All right, guys, here's just one of my hillside garden patches here, and just like I showed you, this is just a mixed bag of different leaves and different kinds of things mixed together. Got a little bit of grass clippings down here. I think when some of my neighbors were throwing out a bag of grass clippings, cutting the grass in November for some reason, so I went ahead and just snagged that and threw it up there. So always been lookout for some free organic resources. I can tell my peppers are still in the soil here. That's more just like an erosion thing. You don't want your soil blowing around, but what I'm trying to really hammer home here, guys, is never let your soil be bare. Okay, it really just drives me crazy when people pull their gardens up. They're going to plow their garden up again in the fall and then just let it sit all winter long. You're going to leach out your nutrients, you're going to get erosion, you're going to get all these things. So, you know, back here I did spread some cover crop. This is some annual rye or perennial rye, I think, and there's some vetch down here kind of growing right here. This is vetch. This is also a great nitrogen fixer. So yeah, this cover crop's kind of on the bottom. I threw a whole bunch of leaves and stuff on top. So in the spring, all you need to do, guys, is just let this continue to break down, and then you just clear out, your beds, kind of rake off a spot, put your plants inside of it. Now, some may argue that this will take the soil a little bit longer to warm up in the spring, and that may be right. But if you really have to, start your plants in containers and then transplant them later. You don't really have to put them directly into the soil. Trust me, it's going to benefit you more in the long run to wait and give them that little bit longer in a pot or container, starter tray, whatever, before you put it into the soil. Trust me. Okay, so right here, this is my fall potato project, and there's a turnip green that's somehow surviving, and there's some lettuce plants I finally had to pull up because despite being frosted on and everything, they were getting all mushy and nasty, but they were still alive. So I just wanted to go ahead and just let those guys turn themselves into compost and break down. But yeah, right here, same exact mixture, and it's not special, and it's just Mother Nature's blend. I didn't do anything particular. Just go to the the hardwood forest or eastern deciduous forest we have here. Rake it all up. I mean, there's moss, there's pine needles, there's grass, there's oak leaves, and everything mixed up in there, maple leaves, whatever. Let that sit, and it's not going to touch it. Like I said, I'm not touching this, letting the soil just naturally break down, and the potatoes are going to be just fine. Eventually, when it warms up in the spring, they're going to pop through. And then as this mulch continuously breaks down, because as soon as it starts getting warmer and hotter in the springtime, naturally it's going to start kicking up the microbes and the worms and everything, and you're going to get a snowball effect, and it's going to break down. Like, you guys don't believe me? Just wait. I'll show you in the springtime, maybe probably around June. This will be all gone. Every bit of it will be broken down into mulch or just turned into worm food. So that being said, I'm just going to wrap it up right here. Oh yeah, and this little project right here, made a little mini, I guess a caterpillar tunnel, whatever, some PVC pipes, and I got some arugula stuff growing in there. Yeah, I'll go ahead and just pause real quick. Let me show you real fast so I got you. All right, guys, and there it is. This is some of my wild rockets, a wild arugula type strain, which I think is actually better than the typical just arugula. A couple green onions, there's a collard green back there, some lettuce, more arugula, and back here some parsley that I cut off and it came back to life. But I also planted some potatoes down there and then added a bunch of more leaves to it. But where it's protected like this, it's not getting as moist, which is actually not going to help it break down as much. So I'm kind of glad I took some time off to show you this, guys, because I need to really put some water in here. But yeah, it's been down to 12 degrees. We've had some snow, we've had some really cold days, windy days, a crazy windstorm, and this thing has survived. So just some old PVC pipe and some rebar stakes just put in the ground, kind of bent it over, nothing fancy. Some old this is like contract. This is in greenhouse plastic. This is just some kind of contractor stuff. I think it's 6 mil, maybe 10 mil. I'm not really sure. And then just drape it over and just use these little clips like this to kind of keep it attached like that with the plastic on top. Make yourself a really, really inexpensive, cheap way to kind of keep your stuff going, extending the season. So there you go, guys. That's today's episode. It's starting to increase with sprinkling here, kind of switching over to snow flurries. So I'm going to get inside and get warm and get a little bit of water on this arugula and these other plants here while I got them. And we'll see you next time here on the hillside. Hope you guys liked something. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and please subscribe. Tell your friends, leave a comment, some thumbs ups, and we'll see you next time here on the hillside. Thanks guys for watching, and we'll see you again. Bye-bye.